Hello, everybody. It's a big pleasure to join you in this summer course, which is towards the IUNES ICN Congress that will be held in Paris next year in August 2025. My name is Karina Dos Santos. I'm a professor here in Brazil in the Federal University of the State of Rio de Janeiro, UNRIO. I'm the head of the research group on precision nutrition and technology and member of the Ibero-American Network of Nutrionics and Precision Nutrition, the Reommendations. First, I'd like to say thank you for the organizing committee for the invitation, especially to Professor Alfredo Martinez. And my speech today is about the Dietary recommendations in Brazil. Brazil is the 5th largest country and the 7th most populous country in the world, is the largest country in the South America. There is more than 200 million inhabitants, and because it's huge size, the country has 5 macro regions that differ greatly in terms of climate, culture, economy, and ethnicity due to the massive migration from different parts of the world, arriving into different regions of the country. Next. During the last decades, Brazil has experienced a change from high prevalence of severe forms of malnutrition, people underweight, especially children, and high mortality by infectious disease in 70s, to a high prevalence of obesity, around 30%, and high mortality by chronic diseases, especially cardiovascular diseases, in the 2000 years. This phenomenon named nutrition transition also refers to a huge change in the dietary pattern of Brazilians from a basis of beans and rice and meat for fast foods, snacks, and ultra-processed foods, configuring the present challenge for public health and nutrition here in Brazil. Next, please. We have here the unified health system with full coverage for every citizen without costs. And we have a national food and nutrition policy as part of the health system with the aim to improve nutritional status and health, promoting appropriate and healthy eating practices, prevention and comprehensive care of health problems related to food and nutrition, and continuous assessment of the food and nutritional profile of the population, named nutrition surveillance. And as a central, next please, as a central strategy for promoting a healthy and sustainable diet, we have this document, was launched in 2014 by the Ministry of Health of Brazil. It's the dietary guidelines for Brazilian population. We have an English version that you can find using this QR code. The first version of this guideline was published in 2006, but this updated in 2014 represented a change of paradigms in our nutrition policies, starting to classify foods according to the extent and purpose of processing used before the acquisition, preparation, and consumption, instead of classification in food groups according to nutritional composition. So we have the groups of natural or minimally processed foods, and ultra-processed foods, the novel food classification system. Next, please. The natural foods are those obtained directly from plants or animals and purchased for consumption without having undergone any alteration following their removal from nature. For example, we have the green leaves and fruits or eggs and milk. The minimally processed foods are natural foods which have been somewhat altered before being purchased. For example, the grains that are dried, polished, or ground as grits or flour, roots, tubers, and vegetables that are washed, cuts of meat that are cooled or frozen, and pasteurized milk. The main purpose of this group is to increase the duration of fresh foods, allowing it to be stored for longer, to facilitate or diversify the culinary preparation of food. Next, please. The processed foods are products that are manufactured essentially with the addition of salt or sugar, For example, canned and bottled vegetables or fruits, cheeses, and breads. The main purpose of this group of foods is to increase the shelf life of fresh or minimally processed foods and to modify their flavor. And at last, the ultra-processed foods are the products whose manufacture involves several stages and various processing techniques and ingredients. Many of these ingredients are used exclusively by industry. For example, the packaged snacks, confectionery, soft drinks, packaged pizzas, among others. The main purpose is to create industrial products that are ready to eat or drink, or that only require heating. Common attributes of ultra-processed foods include hyper-palatability, sophisticated and attractive packaging, and aggressive advertising, besides some health claims of these products. Next, please. As the extent of processing increases, also increases the energy density, added sugar, saturated and trans fats, and the quantity of sodium, and decreases the quantity of fiber and micronutrients in these foods. So the consumption of ultra-processed foods are related to inflammatory markers, excess weight, hyperglycemia, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular diseases, and mortality for all cases. Next, please. Because of this, the 10 steps to healthy diet in Brazil are: first one, make natural or minimally processed foods the basis of your diet. Use oils, fats, salt, and sugar in small amounts to cooking. Limit consumption of processed foods and avoid consumption of ultra-processed foods. But in addition to the recommendations about the food categories, there are also some recommendations regarding social relationships, behaviors, and environment. As you can see, eat regularly and carefully in appropriate environments and whenever possible in company. Shop in places that offer a variety of natural or minimally processed food. Develop, exercise, and share cooking skills. Plan your time to make food and eating important in your life. Out of home, prefer places that serve freshly made meals, and be wary of food advertising and marketing. Next slide, please. We have also a version of the dietary guidelines for children under 2 years old, with the same principles to make the natural foods the basis of the diet since the childhood, and highlighting the recommendations of breastfeeding up to 2 years or more, only offering breast milk up to 6 months, and reinforcing the role of the family to create a safe and enjoyable food environment, and the need of protecting children from massive advertising related to ultra-processed foods. Next slide, please. As final remarks, the Ministry of Health of Brazil pointed the 6 general barriers to following these recommendations that are limited or non-trustable source of information, restriction in supply chain, high costs of fresh foods, lack of skills and time to prepare family meals, and advertising. So there are some advices to handle each one of these barriers in the guideline published by the Ministry of Health. Second point is that we have a very small part of the population knowing the dietary guidelines and few non-nutritionists, health professionals using the recommendations in their practice. So we need an effort to make it reach more people. And at last, in the decade of the precision nutrition, it is possible that not everyone will have the best result with the same intervention of the others. In such a diverse and mixed population as we have in Brazil, it is probably more difficult to understand and more than difficult to implement some personalized precision nutrition in this way. So we will still working on these. Please, the final slide. The last one, please. just to say thank you for your attention, and I'm available for your comments and questions.